Yes, ma. In the previous class, we have seen the concept of NoSQL databases. In that, we have seen one of the database called MongoDB, where we have seen various kind of commands like collection command, how to perform insertion or how to perform creation of a table, and also we have seen how to query the database. And then we have seen what do you mean by projection, what do you mean by update query, how to write the update query in both SQL as well as NoSQL, how to perform delete operations, how to perform drop command. All these things we have seen in the previous class. Now in this session, we'll go with the concept of PHP. PHP. Before going to the concept of PHP, let me explain why we need to learn the PHP concept. Okay, fine. So guys, in the previous classes, we have seen various kind of front-end technologies. So we can write like this: front-end technologies. So through these front-end technologies, we can develop a front-end part of your website. Front-end part of your website, and then you have also learned regarding the database part. So this is what a database. A database part. This database can be any kind of RDBMS part, or it can be any kind of NoSQL. So this is what you have seen, right? Once you know the front-end technologies, you can able to implement any kind of front-end part of the web application. And then if you would like to store some data in our database, you can able to perform to the concept of databases, that is either RDBMS or it can be any kind of NoSQL. Right? Once you know these two technologies, one is database related part, another one is front-end technologies part. Now you need to perform whatever the data that is user is entering in the data in the front end part, that should be saved in the database part. Whatever the data that is entering by the user in the front end part, it's like something. For example, if there is a form, we are asking for enter your name. Let me try to enter the name as Jaya. That should be stored in the database, meaning that the data which we are entering in the front end part should be collected, that should be stored in the database. That should be stored in the database. For that, we require a mediator. That mediator we call it as backend languages. PHP is also one kind of backend language. So that backend language can be PHP, or it can be any kind of a Java, or it can be any kind of .NET. Like that, we'll have various kind of backend languages are there. These backend languages are meant for to retrieve the data from the user, trying to store in the database, trying to process it, trying to get back response to the user. This is what all the backend languages are going to do. Okay, fine. So this is what. So this is the reason we are trying to learn the concept of PHP here. Okay. Fine. Let us explain now what do you mean by PHP. PHP means it's a kind of, we can abbreviate it as hypertext preprocessor. Preprocessor, which is a kind of server side scripting language. Server side scripting language. So which is available to everybody, so that's why we call it as open source. PHP is an open source server side scripting language, and also we can call it as object oriented language. Why we call it as object oriented means, if a particular language will follow the principles of all the object oriented principles, we can call it as object oriented principle language. Similarly here PHP also following all the object oriented principles, that's why we call it as it's a kind of open source object oriented server side scripting language. Okay guys, I hope you know the meaning of scripting languages. We have seen two types of scripting languages. One is client side scripting language, that is JavaScript. Another one is now server side scripting language, that is PHP. We'll have other type of server side scripting languages are there like ASP, JSP, all those things. But in our syllabus we have PHP. That's why we are trying to discuss the PHP. Okay. I hope you remember the difference between the client side scripting and server side scripting. What is the problem with the client side scripting? If the users disables JavaScript code at their end, your validations won't be performed at the browser level. That is a problem, right? To overcome the drawback, we can move for any kind of server-side scripting language like PHP. Okay, so what this PHP is going to do means simply it will perform to accept the user data in the from the forms. From the forms, it will accept the user input. It will store in the database, and then in the server it will process it. Then it is going to make some kind of response in the form of HTML pages. In the form of HTML web pages. So as we are getting some response from the user dynamically, that web page we will call it as dynamic web pages. Why I am calling it a dynamic web page? For example, if you are trying to log in the Gmail, right? When you log into Gmail by entering the valid password and valid username, inside the home page, the content is different from user to user or not. If it is different from user to user, that kind of page we call it as dynamic web pages. Why they are different from user to user? Based upon the username, based upon the password, it is going to retrieve the some data from the database and it will try to produce on the web page. That is what we call it as dynamic web page. That particular process all going to done by the PHP. So meaning that it is going to accept some data in the form of from the forms, process it, and it is going to produce the response. That response will be, we can call it as a HTML web page. That web page is of type dynamic web pages. So dynamic web page means content is different from user to user. That kind of web page we can call it as a dynamic web pages. So why we are mainly considering a PHP means if you want to generate any kind of dynamic web pages, then you can go for simply PHP. But up to now, whatever things that we have seen, all those we did in the form of a static web pages only, right? Yes. So now, from now onwards, we will try to develop any kind of dynamic web pages. Okay, fine. How we are going to perform all these operations? How we are going to perform all these operations means by simply creating a file with an extension .php. If you are trying to create any PHP file with an .php, you can able to get these kind of features. Okay, what the PHP file will contain? The PHP file may contain any kind of HTML code, any kind of a normal text, or it can contain any kind of JavaScript. It can contain any kind of CSS, or it can be any kind of file, including PHP code. Guys. So every .php file contains this code. Okay, fine. What about the HTML pages? Like if I am trying to save any page with an extension .html, what it contains? It can contain HTML, it can contain CSS, it can contain text, it can contain JavaScript. Can we write any kind of PHP code? No. If you are going to write the PHP code, your browser won't be processed that. Meaning that in your website, in your web pages, if you are going to write any kind of PHP code, it cannot be evaluated by browsers directly. Browsers can't able to evaluate that directly, right? Instead, if you want to evaluate that, you require compulsory a kind of server. That server we call it as web server. So what the web servers will do? Web servers are responsible for to execute any kind of .php files. Meaning that which is responsible for to accept the data, to process it, to generate dynamic web pages. So that is the reason we will try to install a web server. That web server will call it as XAMPP. XAMPP is a kind of a server which will act as a kind of web server. So I think I have explained in the previous classes the difference between server and database. What is the difference between server and database? Server having various functionalities. That functionalities can be what? One of the functionalities is a kind of web server. One of the functionalities it can be a kind of file server. Another kind of something like print server, or another thing something like a database server. So like this, it is going to provide various functionalities. I mean, once we install a server, it may contain a database. it may contain a database server, it may contain a web server, like that. Okay, so once we install the exam server in our system, automatically we'll get web server, automatically we'll get database server, automatically we'll get Gmail server, like that we are going to get various kind of things. What do you mean by, so before going to go for exam, let me go for WAMP. WAMP. So WAMP is also kind of a server which is meant for Windows platform. LAMP is a kind of a server which is meant for, very good, Linux platform. MAMP, Mac, very good, etc. So like this, we'll have various kind of servers are available for us. Depending upon the type of operating system we are using, we can go with various kind of servers. Whereas coming to XAMPP, it's a kind of cross platform. Very good. XAMPP is a kind of a cross platform server which will be supported for any kind of operating system. Where X means cross platform. X means cross platform. A means Apache server, web server we are trying to install, and M means MongoDB. It is not MongoDB. MongoDB is a kind of no relational databases, right? No SQL databases. So here XAMPP is a kind of relational database kind of thing. It will provide the relational database services like MySQL, or it can be like MariaDB, etc. MariaDB, etc. Right? P means, we are discussing PHP, right? P means PHP and it can execute Perl language also. That's why PHP and Perl. So guys, once we install XAMPP in our system, you will get lot of features. What are those features? One, you can able to get one Apache web server, which can able to handle all your requests, which can process your data, which can able to execute any kind of .php files, everything. And also you'll get one database that can be MySQL database. And you can able to suppose to execute the PHP code, you can able to execute any kind of Perl languages. Okay. So in order to go for further discussion, what we'll do is we'll go with first installing the XAMPP in our systems. So how we are going to install means, just go for Google, download XAMPP for Windows. XAMPP for Windows. You'll get apachefriends.org. Just click here. You will get XAMPP for Windows, XAMPP for Linux, etc. You will get various kind of things. Among those, try to download the latest version, 8.1.6. Just click on download. I think I have already downloaded it. Download it in the folder called here, XAMPP Windows, something like this. I have downloaded it. If you just double click on it, automatically you are going to install the XAMPP server in your system. Once you install the XAMPP server in the system, you can search for the XAMPP here. You will get a kind of XAMPP control panel. What you need to do with this XAMPP server, it is asking for some kind of permission. You will get some kind of control panel like this. Okay. So if you install the server in your system, it doesn't mean that your system will act as a server. Instead, you need to turn on your server in the system. How we are going to turn on your server in the system means by using start button in the Apache server. Apache is going to provide, MySQL, it is going to provide FileGL, it is going to provide Mercury, Tomcat server, all these things it is going to provide it. For example, before that, what I would like to do is I'll go for localhost. Guys, if you are trying to access some some website, something like, let me call rguktsklm.ac.in, which is meant for what actually? Which is a kind of shorthand name for some IP address. Do you remember that? Which is a shorthand name for some IP address. Actually, in the backend, what will happen is it is something like 127.10.45.192 dot something. For every server, they will provide some kind of IP address. But trying to remember these IP addresses by every user will be difficult, right? Instead of that, what they can do with the help of DNS concept, they have given some kind of names for that. So once you are given some URL, that will be converted to some IP address format. That IP address format, it is going to be identified by your server directly. Okay, fine. This is what will happen. If it is in the remote servers, this process is going to be done. If it is in the same server, we can able to identify with the help of simply localhost. It doesn't having any IP address. Sorry, it is having IP address that is 127.0.0.1, I think so, which we can call it as loopback address. Loopback address, which is meant for to test whether our system has successfully installed server or not. So that we can able to identify with the help of localhost directly. You can just click on localhost. Will it is going to be provide output for you? No, it is going to provide something like localhost repository to connect. Why we are getting this one, ma? Because we didn't start a server. Once we started a server, by clicking on this one, you can observe it has status changing. So Windows Defender Firewall has blocked some features of this app. Allow access. Yes, we have given some allow access. Then you can observe status change detect running. So this is the way you can able to start. Once we start, automatically we are going to get this page. So if you get this page, we can confirm that XAMPP server is successfully installed. XAMPP server is successfully installed. And also, yes, so we can go for up to here. In further class, we'll go with MySQL also. If you are work with any kind of MySQL database, trying to connect your web page with the MySQL database, then you have to start MySQL also. That we'll see in the further classes. So once we got this page, we can say that XAMPP is successfully installed in our system. That's it. Yes, ma'am. Once we successfully install, once we successfully install XAMPP server on the system, then we can able to execute any code, any PHP code, right? But this PHP code can't be executed directly. You have to place this PHP code or any kind of files which you are working, that should be placed in the corresponding installation folder of XAMPP. Corresponding installation folder of XAMPP. So in the XAMPP, you have a folder called htdocs. There you need to place all your files. For example, I have defined a file called index.php. There you need to define all your files. Okay, guys, you can observe here. I'll go with C drive. In C drive, there is a folder called XAMPP. In XAMPP, we have a folder called htdocs. This is where you need to place all your files. For example, I would like to create one file folder called csc3. In this folder, I would like to execute everything. Execute everything. So what I would like to go is, I would like to call that localhost. Localhost. What is the folder name? csc3. If you press enter, will you get anything? No. As it doesn't get any data, it won't load anything. Now, if you place any kind of PHP files, that will be evaluated by your system directly. Yes, ma. So this is the process you have to follow. How to place all your created files in the PHP server. Once you place in this particular location, your server is going to evaluate all your PHP files. Okay, fine. So server is going to provide various kind of functionalities. Functionalities. What about the database? Which will provide the feature of only storage capacity. That's it. So which will meant for the purpose of only storing and for the purpose of processing. That's it. But database server is a part of what? Actual server. Okay. So once we created a file, you can able that cannot be evaluated by the browser directly. Instead, we need to place it in the web server. That is the reason we install XAMPP server in our systems. Okay. Let me go with direct installation part. Mm, Let me go with the Sublime text. Okay, guys. I'm trying to press Control S here. It's asking for trying to store some data. So where I need to store ma? In the C drive, XAMPP location folder. Here we have a folder called htdocs. Inside htdocs, I have created one folder called csc3. Here I need to save the file. What is the general file which you are trying to store? Index file. Because if you are trying to define any file with the help of index, it will automatically load it. If we are not mentioning that, it will load an error. Load an error, right? That you have seen in GitHub, all those things. GitHub as well as some 000 posts, all those locations, right? So, but here it won't load any error. Inside it will show all the related files. Okay. So I'm trying to store with the index.php. Index.php. Guys, if I'm trying to, so what is the difference between index.html and what is the difference between index.php? Index.php contains all code except PHP code. PHP code. Whereas index.php all code including PHP code. That is the difference. You have to identify that. Okay, fine. So I have saved this file. I'm trying to execute the file with the name HTML. Let me call it as home page. Home page. I'm trying to define hi CSC3 are good at coding. Guys, can I execute this one right now? You can go for here and trying to refresh. Okay, observe guys, hi CS3 are good at coding. Even though in PHP file you can able to write any kind of HTML code. Okay. Can I go with any kind of H1 tag directly? Yes or no? Since we are good at code. Okay, fine. Now, guys, for example, I would like to write some kind of PHP code here. PHP code. How we are going to write the PHP code? You have to write the PHP code compulsory between the tags left angular bracket question mark PHP followed by set of lines of PHP code, and then you need to end with question mark followed by right angular bracket. This is the syntax you have to follow. But what about the HTML? Normal HTML tag, CSS style tags, JavaScript JavaScript tags, like this. Similarly, for PHP also the syntax is you have to follow this particular structure. So I will write like this: question mark PHP PHP, and I will write set of lines of code. Then I will go for. So how many times can I write this PHP tags here? I can able to write n number of times. I can able to write n number of times. N number of times PHP tags can be used. PHP tags can be used. Okay. Fine. Now I will copy this one. I will paste here. You can observe. So how we are going to write the comments? Single line comments by using two forward slashes. How we are going to write the multi-line comments? By using forward slash followed by star followed by multi lines followed by star followed by this. Okay, it is as like as CSS. In CSS you are going to write the same way, right? The same way you can able to write the comments here also. Okay, fine. Guys, now the question is here, can I write the text directly? Can I write the text directly? No, it will provide an error here. It will provide an error. Why? You should not write the text code directly inside the PHP tags. Can I directly write any kind of head section tag? I mean any kind of HTML tags? Can I write any kind of head section tags directly? No, it should not be allowed. Meaning that you should not write any kind of text, HTML code or CSS code or any kind of code inside the PHP tags directly. Instead, you can go for some other processes. Okay, fine. So why we are trying to write some text here? For example, CSC3 welcomes you. Welcomes you. Why you are trying to write here? To display something on the screen, right? So in order to display the same thing on the screen, here we have a command called echo command. Command called echo command. Echo command is meant for to print something on the screen. Okay, fine. So this is the way you can able to print the screen on something on the screen. Guys, can I write any kind of HTML code inside PHP tags? Yes, but you have to write inside echo command only. Echo command. You can't write directly on the outside inside of PHP tags and outside of the echo tag. Okay, and this is the way you can able to work with echo command. So there is an alternative way for this echo command, that is print command only. Print command is also meant for the same purpose, but there is a little bit difference. I will show right now. So instead of echo, I will write print. Is there any change in the output? No change in the output. Okay, fine. So both are having same purpose. But thing is, there is a little bit difference. print command is going to return 1 as a value if it is successfully executed. If it is successfully executed, successfully executed. If it is not successfully executed, it is going to return nothing. Whereas echo command is not going to return anything whether it is successful or not. Okay, fine. So before going for further concepts, let me explain the concept of variables for you. Okay, so let me take the concept of variables. So guys, you know the meaning of variable, right? Variable is a kind of a memory location where I can able to store the data. I can able to rename it, I can able to delete it, I can able to use it for any kind of purpose, which can able to store only single value. How we are going to create the variable means with help of a symbol called dollar symbol followed by the corresponding variable name. Let me take the variable name as name. Dollar followed by the name of the variable. So where name is a kind of a variable in PHP. Okay, fine. So let me take dollar CSC is a kind of a variable in PHP. So this is the way you can able to work. So how we are going to create a variable? For example, let me take dollar name as a variable. How we are going to assign its value? Let me take as J. Take as J. Let me take dollar age equal to 45. Right? So are you going to get any error here? No. If you are not going to get an error, meaning that it is a kind of valid syntax or not? Yes. Meaning that you may get certain doubt. We didn't define any kind of data types here, right? So as we are not mentioning any kind of data types, but it is not providing any error, which means PHP is kind of what kind of language? PHP is loosely, we can call it as anything, loosely typed language. PHP is a kind of loosely typed language, meaning that we need to define the data type exactly, it will automatically convert everything into corresponding data type. Okay, if you would like to specifically check what kind of data type of particular variable, then I have a method called get type of method is there. Get type of dollar age. Dollar age, right? I need to print it, right? So for that, I'm going to use a echo command. So you got output or not? Integer. So I'll make this also comment so that you will get clear idea. Integer. Okay, guys. Instead of this, let me pass name. You are going to get string. So meaning that it will automatically convert into corresponding data type. Okay, I mean basically here we'll have the data type is there, but we no need to specifically mention. Various kind of data types are there. Something like the data type can be any kind of integer data type. It can be a float data type. So float means what? Which will accept decimal values. Float data type is there. Something like string data type is there. Boolean, boolean. So print command is going to return boolean value. That means true value. If it is successfully executed, if it is not successful, it won't return any value. Boolean value. Something like arrays concept is there. Object is there. Something like null, etc. We'll have various kind of data types are there. Okay, fine. So you know the meaning of integers, which is going to take the numerical values, float, including decimal values, string. String is what ma? It's a kind of a collection of characters. Collection of characters that we are going to mention inside the double quotations, or we can go with declaring inside the single quotations. Single quotations. Okay, fine. So this is the way you can able to declare the strings. For example, if you would like to combine two strings, I have a operator called dot operator. Dot operator, which is meant for the purpose of concatenation. It's meant for the purpose of concatenation. And something like we'll have various kind of methods are there, like string to lower, str to lower is there, lower of dollar name, or str to upper. So like this we'll have various kind of methods are there which we can able to use it for various kind of purposes. So guys, if I'm trying to write like echo str to upper of something like this. Various kind of string methods which are available for us. We'll get an error. Whatever rate that we are giving, that will be converted to capital letters. So like this, we'll have various kind of methods are there. If you want, you can go with all those methods. Okay, fine. So for example, I can write like this. Type of uh, data is I can able to simply use a concatenation operator. Get type of, you can observe here, type of data is string. Type of data is string. Guys, if you'd like to go with some kind of a break also, I can go with like this. Type of data is string. Okay, fine. So this is the way you can able to work with the string concepts. So like dot operator or to uppercase method, like this will have various kind of things are there. Okay, fine. So I think I have explained here for you one thing. If I go for uncommon in this, I'm trying to define it as $C. I have assigned it to a $C variable, and I'm trying to define the echo $C. Echo $C. What will get the output? You'll get 1. Have you observed? Why you got output 1? Because the statement is successfully executed. But if you use it for the echo command, you will get an error. Here if you use $C equal to something like echo $C, I think you will get an error. Echo at line 30. Line 30, some error is there because it is not going to have that kind of property. You are going to get a certain kind of error. So this is the way you can able to work with the string sum. Okay. Similarly, boolean values, it is going to return true or it is going to return false. So true means 1, false means 0, and arrays concept, right? So how we are going to create arrays means, so basically here arrays are nothing but heterogeneous data types. Basically, these are various kind of homogeneous, right? Coming up to C language, up to Java. If you go for JavaScript, is it homogeneous or heterogeneous? Heterogeneous. Arrays are heterogeneous data types. Heterogeneous data type, and it is a kind of compound data type, right? Why I am saying that it is a compound data type? It is a combination of all the primitive data types. Compound means grouping, right? So, because I can call it as it is a kind of component. See, first four are related to a kind of primitive data types. Primitive data types which can able to store only single value. Whereas coming to the arrays are objects which are going to store group of values which can able to store any kind of data. So group of values. So arrays are a kind of heterogeneous. How we are going to create arrays means by using a method called array method is there. Array method is there. Here I can able to pass 1 comma 2 comma 3.5 comma high comma, like that you can go with any kind of declaration. That can be assigned to a variable something like dollar a is there? No. Okay. So if you would like to print its value, echo dollar a of 2. What is the value you will get? You will get 3.5. You get 3.5. Okay, fine. So similarly, how we are going to assign its value? Same thing. Dollar a of 2 equal to 4.5. Like that, you can able to go with arrays concept. So not only this way. So basically, this kind of concept you can call it as indexed array sum. We can call it as indexed arrays. If you want to define some kind of other kind of arrays are there, like associative arrays are there, something like dollar $b equal to the same syntax it will follow. If you enter, you will get this kind of structure. So now this is a kind of multidimensional array. Multidimensional array. I don't want to go for that. I would like to go for only the basic kind of arrays, that is associative arrays. So in index arrays, what is index? So every value having some kind of index position, that is starting with 0, 1, 2 and so on. Whereas coming to associative arrays, every value having its own associative value. Sorry, every value having its own associative key. Associative key. For example, hi tends to the value as 1. Hello tends to the value as 2. Like this, you can able to create an array. If you want to, you can able to get the value echo dollar b of what is the value you have to pass here now. Let us check that 3.51 by 3. So this is about the previous one. Now if you are going to execute this, you are going to get the value 1. So this is what we call it as associative arrays. Associative arrays, right? So this is the way you can able to work with the concept of arrays. Next, how we are going to create the objects. Objects, guys. So in object-oriented programming language, objects are nothing but any kind of uh, objects which we created for to allocate certain kind of memory. For example, if you are trying to create one class, the class name is A. Sorry, I am trying to define something. The class name is A, right? For this class, if you would like to instantiate its object, if you would like to instantiate its object, how we are going to instantiate by using a new keyword, right? A object equal to new. That's it. This is the way you can able to instantiate an object. So which also contains a collection of data. So obj is an object. So this is the way you can. So and then null, which is meant for to store a value as null, which cannot contain any data. That is what we call as null data type. So like this, we'll have various kind of data types are there. All these we have seen right now. Okay, fine. So next we'll go with the concept of further, that is these variables are of three types. These variables are of three types. One is local variable, another one is which you know already, the terminology you know, global variable. Another type is static variable. Another type is static variable, right? So what kind of variables we'll call it as local variables? So if you are trying to define one function called as jk function, inside the function if you are trying to define some variable as password, some variable as password equal to j, password equal to j. Now this variable is a local variable or not? Yes. If you are going to define any variable inside the function, that variable will call it as local variable. Local variable. Guys, can I try to print it? Echo dollar password. Print cheyachama. Will you get the output? Yes, sir. We need to call the function. We need to call the function. How we are going to call? By simply invoking it. If you want, you can able to pass all the values also. That you know, you'll get the value as j. Okay, fine. If I declare some variable here, dollar dollar page equal to first page. Dollar page equal to first page. Now this variable you can call it as global variable. If a variable is declared outside the function, you can call it as global variable. Guys, for example, let me try to print echo dollar page. Will you get the output? Yes. That is for other languages, not for this language. In this language, you are going to get certain kind of warning. What is that? What is happening here? In actually in the all language, what will happen is, if you are trying to print a variable which is not available in the function, it will check for the outside of function. Am I right or not? But in this particular thing, what will happen is, it will check for the local function. If it is not available, it will stop there itself and it will show certain kind of error. If you would like to tell explicitly to the engine that you can go for global variable checking also, then I can go for writing as global keyword. Global, what is the variable name? Dollar page. Now, if the variable is not available inside the function, we'll check for the global also. First you got right, global. Guys, can I try to print the variable value of password outside the function? You will get an error. You will get an error, right? I mean the local variables I cannot able to access outside the function. So this is the clear difference between global variables as well as local variables. Next, let me go with the static variables. For example, why I am going for int dollar age equal to age attribute is there. Age I have declared it already. Dollar age equal to, let me take it as 25. Take it as 25. Dollar age plus plus. Age plus plus. I am trying to print the age. Dollar age. Trying to print the dollar age. Guys, now tell me the output. What is the output will you get? 26, 26, 26. In the screen it is there 26, 26, 26. So I have taken the variable value as 25, trying to increment it, trying to print it. Right? You will get output as 26, 26. See what will happen here? Whenever the function is called, it will execute it, it will try to print. Once it comes out of the block, the variable value will be reinitialized to the actual value. That is what happening if it is a local variable. If it is a kind of a static variable, now what will happen? It doesn't change it to the old value until we close the complete program. Now what is the output will you get? 26, 27, 28. That is the difference between static variable as well as local variable. Okay, these are the three types of variables are there for us. Okay, fine. So once you know this concept clearly, then we can simply go for further concept. Let me copy this also. Okay, guys. So this is the way you can able to work with various kind of variables. Next, what I would like to do is, so whatever the data that user is entering, whatever the data that user is entering, that I need to get back to the another page and to get back to the other page. For example, I am having here a form called form is there. The form contains, for example, name is there. Name, that should be something like input type equal to text and its name is n. Name is n, and I am trying to work with break tag here, and I am going to go for using input type equal to submit, value equal to, let me take as submit, value equal submit, right? So once the user clicks submit button, I need to redirect it to a page called, let me take it as jk.php, and I am not mentioning any method. That means by default it is get method. By default it is get method. Now guys, you can observe in the output section, if I refresh, you will get certain kind of thing like this. If I press enter something like Jaya, if I submit, that needs to be related to jk.php. Here I need to have to print as welcome to so and so name what the user is entered. That is my requirement. Can we do it with help of the previous languages what you have known up to now? Is it possible? It is not possible. There should be compulsory backend language there in order to retrieve from front end part to the backend part. Okay. So for that what you can do is, so I'm going to define some kind of a new page called jk.php. In jk.php, I'm going to define the HTML page that is let me take the page name as login page. Here I'm trying to find wow success. Let me do that. I refresh it, I'm clicking to submit, that's it. Wow succeed is showing. Okay, instead of that, what I need to do is I need to have to get the input data what the user is entered on the first page. So for example, I need to have some kind of background color as yellow also, and I need to print certain data. What is that data, ma? The data which is entered by the user at the front part, right? So you need to get back the first page data, index.php, the data what is entered in the index.php that need to be get back, right? So for that, what code you have to use compulsory? You have to use a PHP tag. I need to use compulsory PHP tag. Okay, inside this PHP tag, what you have to do is, if you would like to get back this data to the next page, or whatever data that is entered by the user in the previous page, if you would like to get back that to this page, you have to use various kind of form controls. We can call it as various kind of form controls. What are those form controls means? One is dollar underscore get constant variable. Another one is dollar underscore post constant variable. These two are required in order to get back the previous page data to the current page. Okay, when you will go for dollar underscore get, whenever you are trying to use the method as get, you will go for dollar underscore get. When you are trying to go for dollar underscore post, if you are going to use the method as post, you can go with dollar underscore post. And you know the difference between both also. Get method is meant for to send data to the next page through URL of the page. If you would like to send the data through body of the web page, you can go for post. So as I am trying to send it through body of the web page, it is more secure compared to get. And also if you would like to send larger amount of data, then I can go for post. If you are trying to send only small amount of data like text, password like that, then I can go for get. Get. I think this differences I have discussed only HTML only, right? So what I would like to do is I would like to get the previous page data. So for that I am going to use a variable called dollar underscore get variable. What is the variable name I have given there? Num. The variable name is n. That should be passed here. That should be passed. I am trying to print here as echo dollar underscore get. That's it. I can observe, guys. I am trying to refresh. I am trying to enter Jaya. Click submit. That name is displayed or not? Yes. This is the way you can able to get from the previous page to the present page. But my requirement is what? I need to display in the somewhere welcome to so and so user. So this kind of thing we can call it as a dynamic web page. So we can write something like welcome to login page. I am going to concatenate with this. Guys, if you want to reuse it for multiple times, what I can do? I can store it in a variable. Dollar name equal to, I can go for this, and that dollar variable I can able to use it for multiple times. Dollar name. Okay, for this, for example, let me take some kind of h1 tag. H1 tag, I'm going to close h1. If you want to apply some kind of coloring for this also, you can able to apply like that. You can go with. If I refresh, welcome to login page. Why I'm not getting? Okay, I think I modified, right? I need to refresh. I need to enter Krishna. H1 tag didn't close perfectly, right? Yes, very good. Welcome to login page, Krishna. So like this, you can able to modify on your own way. Whatever the way you want, you can able to modify it. Okay. Now guys, once we received into this particular page, what we can do, if you want, you can display there itself. If you want to process it, you can able to process it. If you want to insert into database, you can able to insert into database by using a command called insert into table name values of like that you can able to process. But for to execute specifically MySQL queries, you have to use some certain kind of methods. MySQL underscore some so and so. All those we'll see at the end of the PHP classes. Okay, this is the way you can able to get. So this is the logic we required to get the data from the user page to the backend part. Okay, fine. For example, here if I'm trying to work with method as post, guys, you can observe in the previous jk.php colon n equal to Krishna. So this is why it is not secure. This is why I'm saying that data is sending through URL. URL. I don't want to go for that. I would like to not to visualize to everybody. So then I can go for post method. Dollar name equal to dollar underscore post. Can refresh as CSC. Welcome to login page. I think you are getting at the line number 13. What is that? Undefined array jk.php. I think we need to pass. ఎక్కడమ్మా? I think this is not the error they are showing. They are showing some other error, right? They are showing undefined array n. It is showing related to the n, I think. Okay, let me check that. Maybe that is also one problem. Yes, right. Welcome to login page. So this is the way you can able to work with dollar underscore post, dollar underscore k. These two are the form controls which are important for us. So the main reason why you are using is in order to get back from one page data to the current page, I can go for this one. If you want to make it this data to the continuously for multiple pages, then I can go for the concept called session sum. There is a concept called sessions. So whatever that is entering by the user at the first page, that will be maintained throughout for n number of pages. So for that we'll use the concept called sessions. Okay, fine, that's it. So now what I will do is I'll go for further, like I would like to process it. I would like to process it. So I don't want to go for h1 tags. I will take the age. For the time being, I'm trying to take the some age. Input type equal to text. Is the time is completed, right? I understood. But no problem. We'll complete now. So here the name is there and the age is there. The name should be entered by the user and name should be entered by the user. If you want to make validations, you can able to make validations here also. Okay. Now, once the user entered certain data, that should be retrieved to this page. So, for example, dollar age equal to dollar underscore post of what is the name? Age. Age. Now, based upon the age, I would like to check. So, for that, I am going to define the concept called control statements, conditional statements, looping statements. We'll discuss and we'll leave. So, if block. So, basic syntax which is same to all languages. If dollar age, let me take the age of student is greater than 19 or not, then I will allow for registration. Like that I am going to write echo valid age, echo valid age. Guys, observe here, I will enter something like Jaya, age is something like 56, submit. You are going to get the valid age or not? Yes. This is the way you can able to process it. For example, I would like to go for else also, if else block, right? Invalid age. So every statement should be ended with semicolon. I would like to enter less than 14. Click submit. You can observe here it has invalid. Invalid. Okay. For example, I would like to go with the if ladder. If ladder, then I can go with the else if. You can search here directly. You will get else if certain condition. Dollar age less than 14. I am saying that echo age is less than 14. I'll go with the else command. Else command. Age is greater than 14 and less than 90. If enter and trying to click refresh, Line number 21. What is the problem there? On echo, I need to make semicolon. Very good. So I think you are hungry, right? Trying to check everything clearly. Click on yes. So you will get. So based upon certain input, you will go for this one. So I hope you know all these things, right? Various kind of control statements like if I have shown, if else ladder, nested if block, you can go with that. So similarly, you can go with switch cases also, right? Switch cases. How we are going to write switch? The basic thing. Switch off. What is the variable name? Age. If the age is greater than if the age is greater than 14, if the age is greater than 14, then I can go for further process. Less than 14, I can go for the process. So like that, you can able to work with switch case also, right? So I think I have clearly explained these statements. Break keyword is there. So if you are not going to use the break keyword, what will happen? It's going to execute continuously until it will encounter break keyword. How many default keywords I can able to use in a particular switch case? Only one. So I have clearly explained in the JavaScript. So these are various kind of control statements. Next we will go for various kind of looping statements. For example, basic for loop. For $I equal to 0. So initialization, condition, increment or decrement. So and $I less than $H. $I plus plus. $I plus plus. Echo, I will go with $I. I'll go with $I. So I think let me refresh this. I think we will get the values up to 0 to 13 because we entered the value I think 13 there. 14 huh? Okay, so I think the value you have entered 14, that's why you are getting the value 14. Okay, the same thing for example, can I go with for each loop? When we go for each loop, if you want to iterate over the loop continuously, you can go for each loop. For example, uh, $C equal to array of 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5 6 and so on and so on. Let me go with for each loop. So what is syntax of for each loop, ma? Don't worry about this. What is syntax of for each loop? The name of the array. I will forget it again. As dollar. Let me take k. So the array name is C. For every iteration, I'm trying to copy the first value, second value into $k, and I'm trying to print the $k. From where it is I think 1 2 3 4 5 6. Like this, you can go with the for each loop also. So I have clearly explained there in the JavaScript term. Okay, then we'll go with while loop. While loop, while $age not equal to 0, while $age not equal to 0, I am trying to print the value of age $age. So if I am trying to write this one, what will happen? It will be in the infinite loop. I will try to decrement it for every iteration $age minus minus. Now we'll get the value as 14, 13 and so on up to 1. Okay. Similarly, I can go with the do while. Do while the same syntax. You can go for writing echo $age minus minus. That should be up to while $age not equal to zero. You will get the same output. You will get same output, right? So this is the way you can able to create looping statements in PHP. Means in PHP. Okay, fine, guys. One more thing is I would like to create a certain kind of constant summa here. So we have seen the variables concept. So how we are going to create the constants? By using a variable called constant variable. By using a variable called constant variable. Constant, the variable name is It should not prefix with dollar. That is the only difference here. A equal to Krishna. A equal to Krishna. Echo, I can go for writing A. Krishna. Guys, make sure that this difference should be identified. How we are going to create the constant variables? If we made here dollar, that will be an error. That will be an error. So this is the one way of creating the constants. Another way is I can go with the method called define method. Define. Guys, what is the thumb rule for creating a constants? All should be in the capital letters. Am I right or not? All should be the capital letters. So what is the name of the variable? For example, the name of the variable is something like message, and its value is CAC3 or good people. Good people. Are you good or not? No? You are getting doubt on yourself. So define message. So I will try to print echo message. CS3 are good people. Okay. So this is the way you can able to define the constants. So this is the one way and this is the second way. Yes guys, this is for today's class.